deep work done. A lot of it was just ticking off different admin tasks and bits and pieces like that, but it was productive nonetheless. I want to talk about one thing that I am looking into quite heavily at the moment, and I'm going to fundamentally change how I market and how we market as a business at Move. It's all come off the back of listening to a lot of Daniel Priestley. If you don't know who that is, he's a very successful entrepreneur. He's been on Stephen Bartlett's podcast a lot of times. I've read all of his books multiple times, and it's actually his book, Oversubscribed, that I send to my mentorship clients as a welcome gift, along with a couple of other bits, but as a welcome gift when they start working with me, because it has had such a profound effect on me, and it has had so much impact on how I look at marketing, how I look at building my business. But one of the concepts that he has discussed quite heavily has come from some Google research. And essentially, it is the amount of content that an individual needs to consume to make them interact with your business, and whether that's buy, whether that's subscribe, whether that's work with, whatever sort of terminology we want to use. And it's the 7-11-4. And now, excuse me if I do butcher this and you go away and research it, but my interpretation of it, or my memory of it, is that it's consuming seven hours of content over 11 different pieces across 4 different formats. Now, if that is incorrect, as I say, I apologise, but ultimately, all that it says is that we need to get people engaging and listening to us, our methodology, for longer, and getting them to change their beliefs and align with our way of doing things and our belief systems. And ultimately, the one way to do that is, or the way to hijack that or hack it or speed up that process, is through long form content. And obviously you are watching YouTube right now, and that is a form of long form content that I am doubling down on, alongside podcasts, which I'm going to publish on YouTube and also onto Spotify and Apple and things like that, using a platform called Riverside. But ultimately, I'm actually really enjoying the process. I put off long form content for a long period of time, and I don't know how to stop this, by the way. I can only apologise. I'm in a courtesy car because, in typical fashion, ours has broken, or my wife's car has broken, so apologies for the beeps. But I'm actually really enjoying it, because I did a post on this recently that I've never felt, or for a long period of time, I haven't felt this well aligned and clear on what my role is within Move, where we're going, and what I want to build. And like I say, it's a really exciting period of time, one which I'm excited to work through and put the hard yards in. And I just believe that we have a platform now, and I have a platform to amplify the impact that we are having across many different verticals within the business, and future verticals that may be built out as a result of that. So definitely something I would recommend looking at. I will do some content on it, and I will report back as I begin to test it and see the impact that it can have, and understand the influence it'll have on me and our business ecosystem. Oh. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. So, welcome to an incredibly sunny Harrogate. I am obviously taking the piss, because yesterday was 18 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, and today I can't see 40 metres in front of myself. But I'm not sure what the last thing I did on here was. I think it was me sat in my car talking. Since then, I have gone from there, and yesterday was Thursday. I spent the day with the girls, looking after them, and I guess that is the beauty of having a business and the flexibility of that, but it's also the trap of it that you're always working but never working. And if that makes sense to you, then I'm sure you're someone who has a business. But yeah, it has not been a particularly fluid start to the video. I'm going to be very honest, and this may be something that resonates with people. As I was walking through the car park, a number of the Pilates clients were leaving, and it made me feel uncomfortable at talking to a handheld camera. But that is something that I'm aiming to overcome and to do more of, and hopefully setting a standard of content creation for my clients and for anybody who watches this that wants to get into it, because God, the lighting's bad in here. It is a topic of conversation I've had a lot over the last day. I produced a reel, just a very quick reel, talking to camera, and which doesn't bother me, by the way, providing that the setting is simple or safe, let's say. But yeah, it doesn't bother me, and it was basically giving away a 15-minute YouTube video or training that I produce for my mentorship clients on how I'm using AI at the moment. And it's done really well. I've tripled my email list from that post alone for mentorship services and education services. And it sparked a lot of discussions in my DMs, one of which, or many of which actually, at least four of people saying they're going to start when the time is right, whether that's next week, whether that's this weekend, whether that's June, July, and for context, we're in April at the moment, towards the end. And I challenged all of those people and asked, what is stopping you at the moment? And the majority of people will say time, they'll say, and multiple different factors, but time came up time and time again. To which I replied saying, the post that I made today took me 2.5 minutes to talk to the camera, and it took me probably 3 minutes to add captions and add a title. And if I look now, the context of the post was talking through what I mean when I say finding the root cause, and why that matters to someone who is in pain and is injured. To date, it has 1,600 views, which for my profile is low. It is an underperforming post. But still, if I could create a line of 1,600 people and present to them my methodology, which can hopefully challenge their belief system that there is a different or a new or a modern way to fix their pain, and to do it quicker, easier, more simple, with better guarantees of long-term success, I would do it time and time again. And to be honest with you, how long would it take me to do that individually to 1,600 people? And if you have a profile and there's 200 people that you are getting views from, it's still 200 people listening to your message. So don't get sucked into the social media side of things where you need to go viral. Again, a very simple case that I've discussed with one of my clients. He's got 300 followers. He was getting a bit disconcerted or disappointed at a lack of growth and a lack of engagement, and he's getting anywhere between 600 and 1,000 views on each video. But I said to him, of your 300 followers, if 10% of them put their hand up to be your client, could you serve them right now? The answer is no. If 5% did, could you serve them right now? 15? No. If 1% did, would you be happy? So all you're looking for is 1% of a small following. 3 people that pay you either a monthly recurring revenue, they pay you upfront for a 12-week program, or they come and do 4 to 6 sessions with you. All of them are very valuable to you, and that's why it's important to persist with it. Yes, we can audit the content that you're doing and the strategy and the systems that you have in place, but ultimately it is about showing up, having a message, providing value, showcasing results, making offers, and the people that you have got to be aware of you, align with you, will take the action when you put the offer out there and become a client. So I've rambled. Hopefully there's some value in that. I'm going to go and train. Might show you, might not. But yeah, it's a busy day. Tomorrow I'm presenting at the Vald conference in Liverpool. I didn't think I was nervous, and then I started going through my presentation last night, and it's just one of those things where you're going to stand up in front of a lot of people, and a lot of well-accomplished people, a lot of very intelligent people, a lot of people that have a lot of skin in the game. And I'm just talking about my journey and the impact that Vald has had on that. But yeah, that's the plan. So train, couple of clients, programming, Vald presentation. I've got a kickoff call with a new one-to-one mentorship client, home to the girls, bedtime, and then I'm driving to Liverpool tonight. So I have forgotten my fancy camera, but this looks like it works pretty well. And for those of you that don't know and do want to do more long form content, if you open the video on your camera on an iPhone, I think that's all iPhones now, there's a button that has like a little rotating arrow, and then if you hit that, it will start to record in landscape. So there's a little quick tip for you that means you have one less barrier to entry to doing long form content, which is something I'm actually going to do a masterclass on for my clients when I'm back from holiday. So there is a little sneak peek for my clients if you are watching this as well. Things are going to be significantly upgraded over the coming weeks and months. So I had just posted something on Instagram relating to my plans today, and I thought, well, I best actually document it. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's at Alex Morel Physio. But I'm in Liverpool. This is the Albert Docks, and it's a perfect morning to sit here. And after getting my rowing intervals in, I got here late last night. Ended up going to bed about midnight, 6 o'clock alarm. I toyed with whether to actually get up and have and pay myself first, which is a principle a very good friend and previous mentor of mine, Jens Robinson, taught me about, or to sleep in. And I'm very pleased that I got up for two reasons. One, getting some morning light. Two, I'm not rushing as much. But three, I find exercise, even though all I did this morning was 24 minutes worth of exercise on a rower, 500 meter intervals, 1 minute rest, it gives me a significant amount of energy. It makes me feel like I'm up and at 'em and ahead of the day. Circling back around to the plan for today, which is I am presenting at the Vald Health Performance Conference in Liverpool. It's the second time I've done this, unfortunately. Last year I was invited out to their Brisbane HQ to do this talk, but not unfortunately, the timing was terrible, as it was 2 weeks after Honey, our youngest daughter, was born, and family first. That is all I'm going to say, family first. But this year we're hopefully, as long as some of the restrictions around travel and things like that are in place in the Middle East, as long as they don't hamper too many plans, I'm going to go, and we're hopefully going to go as a family for a period of time. And subconsciously there may be part of me that's wishing that I'm going to convince Evie to move to Australia. But anyway, my talk is on my journey moving from pro sport to private practice. And essentially when they asked me to talk, I was a bit lost in terms of why me. There's a lot more well-established people in the health and performance field that would be more suitable for it. There are a lot more academic people. There are people with far more experience than me in sport and talking about that experience. But specifically, they wanted to know how I had integrated their technology. So if you don't know, Vald, in my opinion, are the market leaders and world leaders in testing, objective testing kit. We've got 3 different pieces of kit, where we've got a 4th one coming, but we've got a dynamometer, we've got the force plates, and we've got the force decks. You can probably feel and see that sneeze building through the camera. So we've got all of them, and it does so much for us in terms of a USP. It does so much for us in terms of clinical outcomes. It does so much in terms of business outcomes, because, and maybe I'll do a longer piece of education about how we integrate the Vald technology into what we do. But the return on investment is massive from 3 different angles. Like I said, the clinical side of things, the marketing side of things, and then the client longevity or the client lifetime. Because rather than just taking someone from A to B and getting them out of pain, you now are able to test their performance and essentially
future-proof them, bulletproof them, whatever horrible tacky term that you want to use, you're able to improve their overall levels of performance in the long run, and objectively show them that happening, set them clear targets and goals that take someone from a 2 to 4 session treatment block into a 4, 6, 8, or even with our model, a recurring client. So it does a huge amount, but I am going to talk about my journey in that transition, some of the key lessons, how we've integrated the tech. But the key lesson, I'm going to get there, that I've posted on my Instagram, is that product first is the underlying foundational first principle that every decision has always been made on, and that is made up of two different things: clinical excellence and investing time, effort and energy into CPD, but then also client experience. A fantastic book is The Effortless Experience by Matt Dixon, and it's basically a customer service book, but people remember how you make them feel. Obviously they remember when you're able to transform their problem and take them from being in pain to living the life that they love, but they remember in the short term how you make them feel, how easy it was to book in with you, find you, what the experience was like when they walked in the door, how they were greeted, how it smells, what it looks like, how enjoyable is it to go through the process. And this is even before they've got into the room with the physio, which is what most people think about, and building rapport. Most people should be able to build rapport if you're just a genuine person and you take an interest in the person that's sat in front of you. So then off the back of that, I might as well keep going. What you do with your post-session follow-ups, what expectations have you set, how do you follow them up, how do you provide more value than and over-deliver on that value, and then what's that sort of long-term relationship look like beyond discharge, beyond fixing the problem in the short term, to create a raving fan who is going to tell everyone about you and talk about you very fondly. So I hope that there is some value in that spiel, but where's the sun? I'm going to have a little walk in that. I'm going to try and record some of the presentation, but tomorrow we go on holiday and I'm umming and ahhing of whether I will vlog it, whether I won't. I don't really vlog personal things, I don't want my children on the internet, but we shall see. Let's have a little look at this, and as you've probably guessed, I'm no longer in the UK. I'm in Corfu at Icos Odysseia. If you are a parent to a young family, not even a young family, I couldn't recommend this more highly. It is, in my opinion, the new Dubai for us. We've always loved going to Dubai because it has absolutely everything we want and need, but this is only 3 hours away, half the price, and the pace and energy is just significantly slower. Although my energy shouldn't be slow, because I have been given my hour slot for a bit of headspace before swapping back with Evie, and she's going to go to a quick reformer class. I'm going to go to the park, and I'm very sweaty. I just trained, got my Monday session in, something I enjoy doing whilst I'm away, just ticking the box, 2 top sets of everything. I just feel more energized, more relaxed. I do enjoy training, so for those of you that don't train when you're away, if that offends you, my apologies. But I've had coming up to 48 hours to just decompress and reflect on speaking at the Vald conference, which again, I don't know if I've touched base since then. I'm very grateful to be recognised and trusted by them to present my story. It was nothing academic, it was literally telling the story of moving. I'm sure you enjoy what I did with that, and I did use the M logo, moving from pro sport to private practice, and some of the lessons that I have learnt along the way, and just teaching through experience rather than, I'm far from an expert, I'm far from the finished article, but I've made mistakes along the way, or found things out along the way. I've failed quickly, I've re-navigated, and ultimately that was a lot of what I spoke about in the talk. One of the slides that I kept coming back to in the Q&A at the end was the fuck around and find out axis, which I've learned from a new mentor of mine, and it encapsulates everything that I have done over the last coming up to 5 years, that just figuring it out along the way and seeing what works. You have your underpinning principles that you know will work from a clinical and a physical perspective in terms of helping the client and the customer that's in front of you, but in terms of what systems to put in the business, how to structure offers, what services to offer, I think actually just fucking around and giving something a go will tell you as much as anything. And I've had some fantastic conversations since then. If you were one of the people that went and you have any questions, make sure you drop me a message on Instagram at @AlexMorrowPhysio. And if you are serious about growing your business, this is a shameless call to action. If you send me the word grow on Instagram, I will share with you the details of my mentorship. I have filled the slots for April. Probably when this goes out, we may be touching into May, and I'm going to take just 3 new clients on in May. We'll go through a full business audit, we'll understand where you are, we'll understand your goals, and we'll reverse engineer what that process needs to look like. One of the most profound things that I do with any of my clients, and I did it on the last day before we came here, is go through a vision and values exercise, because most people actually don't have anything to measure the culture and the atmosphere that they want to create within the business, and values goes a long way to doing that and defining that. But the bigger thing is that most people don't know where they want to go, so then they feel lost in what the next step is and what the journey is, and they just know they want to do something bigger and grow something. But I do the vision exercise a minimum of once per year. When I was starting out and a bit smaller, I was doing it every 3 to 6 months because things were sort of moving so quickly. But now we're more established, I am doing it once a year, and it is changing, but it also sets a direction and allows me to fuck around a little bit more, find out along the way. This may be the last video, or I may just document little bits and thoughts as I go through the holiday and put it out all together. So if it is the last, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you send me a message on Instagram at @AlexMorrowPhysio. If not, I'll be back in 1 second. This vlog may turn into just a collection of post-gym thoughts. As I said previously, I believe, when I come away, slow down a little bit, my creative mind starts to take over a little more, and I just have, I guess, a bit more headspace rather than caught in the day-to-day, trying to keep up to think about other things. And if there's one thing that does ring particularly true, and this is for anybody who is rehabbing an injury currently or in pain trying to fix it. I should have caught my breath before coming on here. I asked the same question with anybody that I work with from a rehab physio training perspective, and that is, what is the dream outcome? A very simple question, but I would say 95% of the time I get the answer of, I just want to be pain free. And my response is, being pain free isn't the goal. Everybody that I work with wants to be pain free. What does being pain free allow you to do that you want to do and potentially can't currently do because of the injury and because of the pain? And the reason that that's such a powerful question is twofold. It allows the person to look beyond simply just being pain free and thinking about how to solve that as quickly as possible, and that being the end of the process, because it isn't. Anybody that I work with, I want them to be pain-free and stay pain-free and achieve a long-term, long-lasting result, living the life that they want to live, and not placing shackles on it and avoiding things and being fearful of things. Very warm. But the other thing that it allows me to do from a rehab perspective, it allows me to be even more specific with how I program for you and for that person, because as part of our pro recovery and performance plan, which is our fully comprehensive plan where we do all your physio, all your rehab, but we do all of your training, your strength work, your cardio, all your mobility work, we take care of everything, and you wake up using our app every single day, crystal clear on exactly what you need to do on that day. It's built specifically based on your wants and needs. The wants are your goals, how regularly you want to train, where you want to train, how long you want your sessions to be, and the needs are based on that initial testing. And we test people for the first week of working with them, and we build essentially a blueprint of what they're like.
But it allows me to be hyper specific with, firstly, getting you out of pain as quickly as possible, but then making your rehab and your training specific, so you end the process with as high a level of performance as possible. And I pause there because a lot of people, the minute I use the word performance, switch off and think that that's not relevant to them. But performance is specific to the lens that you look at it through. Whether you're a professional athlete, whether you are an aspiring athlete, whether you are someone that likes to take training seriously, whether you're someone that just does it recreationally, potentially for your mental health, for enjoyment with friends and things like that, or whether you are a mum, a dad, grandparent who just wants to be able to run around after their kids, pick them up off the floor, chase them in the garden, there is a degree of performance specific to each one of those targets. And I will, and we will as a team, specifically run a needs analysis of what that end looks like. And we have our North Star of what a happy, healthy, high-performing person looks like. And that is specific to you and your goals, and then we build everything. So for example, let's say you come to me and you're struggling with knee pain, so we'll assess your knee, we'll assess your biomechanics, we'll assess your performance and build a plan that's specific to that. But then your end goal is to run a 10k, and I ask questions. So okay, you want to run 10k, how fast do you want to run that? How many times a week do you want to train to achieve that? How much time do you have available to train? And it might be that you want to run 3 times a week, you have an hour each session, and then I can build a specific plan that's not only going to fix the knee pain, it's then going to make you more resilient and a better runner and a high performing runner, and it's actually going to make you fitter and quicker across the 10k or the specific distance, so that we don't just finish being pain free, we finish hitting the target of being pain free, running 3 times a week, and a 10k race where you run the goal that you're running. And that is, from my perspective, why what we do at Move is so unique, and why we achieve such life-changing results, and we call it transformational rehab results, because we just think differently. We put more, I'm not saying that other people don't put effort in, but I believe that the systems we have in place and the service we have in place and the client experience, we go above and beyond what anyone else will do. So if you are watching this and you are struggling with pain, in the bio there will be a link to apply to work with us on the Pro Recovery and Performance Plan. The reason for an application is because we only take on a set amount of people to keep the quality of our work and our communication as high as possible. Because that's the other thing about it, is you get direct access to me, your assigned physio, and the rest of the team. Whenever you want, you have a private communication channel, and you can message us directly through that whenever you want. And obviously we will fix things quickly, progress you quickly, and achieve the results you're looking for.